Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful day today. I'm going to show you how I fertilize my orchids that are in full water culture. I've had several requests for this video, so I thought I'd go ahead on this beautiful, warm, sunny day and show you how I do that. I'm going to show you with this medium-sized white phal that I've had. Just put her in a new home here recently. And as you see, there's a blue mark right where I have the water culture level that this one likes. That helps to give me a visual on how much water to keep in here, and it also helps when I go to fertilize it. So this was her old home. So I'm just going to very carefully pour the water culture that she's been sitting in all week into this glass, and I'm going to reserve that. Okay, because I want to keep my water culture water. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. Now this is fresh reverse osmosis filtered water. It has a pH of about 6.2, and I want to give all these roots a good soak before I fertilize. I just think it's a good time to go ahead and give the roots, the whole root system, a good soak. So I'm going to pour this water in there until it's right below the tip of the stem. There's a lot of roots in here, but can you see the stem here in the middle? Okay, so I want this water level to be right below this stem. And I'm going to let the orchid set in this fresh water, soaking up all this good fresh water for about 30 minutes before I do anything else. Okay, and this is a really good time too to mist down your air roots since you're giving the entire root system a really good soak. So let's just go ahead and mist down the air roots. This is late October, but it's going to be a very, very warm day. Yesterday was quite chilly and cool. Today is going to be about 76 degrees, which is about 21 centigrade. So it's going to be a very warm day. So I'm planning on giving this a little bit of a good dose of fertilizer today because the sun's out. I'm going to have the temperatures back here to be able to fertilize a little bit more. Probably next month I won't be fertilizing at such a high amount, but today I believe I'm going to go ahead and give it about a half a teaspoon of 2014-13 in a gallon of 6.0 water. Next month is probably going to be about a quarter of a teaspoon because I don't think the temperatures are going to hold quite this high for much longer. Okay, I've been doing some watering with some of my other plants, and it's been about 30 minutes that this one has been soaking. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drain this water back into, I'm just using cups to kind of help give you a visual of what I do. This one I drain, and I won't be using this anymore. I'll just go and water a house plant with this or something. Okay, so I'm going to discard that. Okay, now in this cup I have my 1/2 of a teaspoon of 2014-13. Like I said, the temperatures are going to be high back here, lots and lots of sun. So this is a summer dose. It's going to be about 76 degrees outside, which is about 21 centigrade. But it will probably be warmer than that this afternoon. It'll probably be about 78 to 80 on my in my sunroom. So I know I can give this much of a dose. If it weren't so warm, I would only be giving 1/8 of a teaspoon. Like if this was an indoor plant, if I'm, growing it in 70-degree room temperature. But this is a warm, warm fall day. So I'm going to go ahead and fertilize it well. So I'm going to just pour this in here. Not quite as far as what I had it soaking in for that 30-minute period of time. this is going to be enough. You see where the normal water culture level is about right here. So I've got it a little bit more. Here we go. Here's where its normal water culture level is. So I'm just going to give it a little bit more than that. Maybe just a little bit more. And let the roots soak in this again for about 30 minutes. Now there's more than one way to do this. You don't have to let it soak in the fertilizer for long if you don't want to. Like I said, if you're in a room temperature environment where you're more like, 70 degrees, just use a small, minute amount so that you don't burn any roots. At this point, you could spray the roots with the fertilizer if you want to. I do that every once in a while. It just depends on how much fertilizer I have. I've mixed a lot of fertilizer today because, as you see, my vandas have been soaking overnight. This is their 24-hour soak day. So I'm going to be fertilizing them. So I've got a lot of fertilizer out today. Okay, so this has been sitting here and soaking in this fertilizer for about 30 minutes. So I'm just going to drain this back into a regular cup. Probably use this fertilizer again on a house plant of some sort, not another, pardon me, not another orchid. I'll probably put this out in my yard today on some of my plants that can use just a little bit of extra nitrogen. That's probably what I'm going to do with this. Okay, so let's move that. Now I'm going to let this set dry after it's been soaking for 30 minutes in the fertilizer. So what we've done is we've soaked it 30 minutes in a really good filtered water. Let the root system really soak well. Now we've just drained the fertilizer that it's been sitting in for about 30 minutes. And I'm going to let this dry out. I'm going to let it set dry for 12 to 24 hours, depending on your environment. I'm going to see just how warm it gets back here in my sunroom, and I'm going to watch my roots. I'm going to try to let it just set overnight. It'll be fine until tomorrow. But if you don't like letting your phals set dry for that long, then just let them dry out for about 12 hours. That would be sufficient too. So that way your roots get the full benefit of the fertilizer. So what I'm going to do, this is my water culture water that I started with. That's what it's been sitting in all week long. So I'm not going to get rid of all of this water culture. This has good stuff in it. This is its home. This is this orchid's home. So I'm going to drain about 50% of this water, and I'm going to replace it with the fresh reverse osmosis water. So that way it gets some fresh water, and it still has some of its, what I call its water culture home water. So that's how I fertilize my water culture orchids. If you all have any questions, feel free to ask me, and you all just have a highly favored, deeply loved, and greatly blessed day, and we'll talk to you next time.